So you take us through the implications of FGM and why people shouldn't be doing it.
Yes, as I've mentioned in the lecture, that FGM has immediate and the long-term complications. And these complications, some of them I saw in my clinical practice. It's not like I heard it from people, like the bleeding that occur, which cost a young girl's life. That's from 2 years. I meant seen in 2015. I've also seen in my clinical practice that a young couples who were married got pregnant, but could not deliver because the opening was so narrow that we have to take her to the theater, open up, and also to conduct cesarean sections. So these are an eyewitness that I show in my clinical practice, and then I think this is affecting the life of young ladies or young girls who undergo some of these procedures. As I've also mentioned, some of these procedures are done by people who does not go under any medical training, and they don't know the complications. So any structure that you cut in surgery, because we are in surgery, we have principles that if you are not trained to cut, you should not cut any part. Because if you cut any part, any complication, you may be ready to deal with that complication. If you cannot deal with the complication, then you should not cut. If you go by this principle, then it means that the cutting should only be done by people who are medically trained. Even though we have a law in the Gambia which does not medicalize FGM. But I think it should be done by people who are trained on it. For people who are not trained should not be doing the cutting, I believe.
Despite the advocacy and the laws, the practice is still on. How prevalent is it?
It's very prevalent in our society. In fact, it's been done secretly. I would say every community you find is happening now. We are not reporting. The law is there. Whether it's a bad law, it's a good law, but the law is there. So long we have the law there, I think everybody must respect the law. It's up to the government people to repeal the law if they want. But the law is there, we should respect the law, as far as I'm concerned.
Finally, general knowledge.
Well, I am telling people that the complications are very huge from my experience, what I saw. So I believe that people should be very careful, those especially who are cutting and they have no experience and they have no knowledge or they have no training. They shouldn't be cutting any female genitalia if they don't have undergone any training to do so. Thank you.
All right, Flex, you're one of the participants at this training that is being organized by the UNFPA. We just want to sound your views as to what to make of the training and how what you're learning here, will impact your work.
Yeah, it's very important that from what we've learned so far, it's given us a perspective about SGBV. We've heard from doctors, we've heard from editors, people who are very well respected when it comes to their field, their profession. And they've been able to give us some insight, not from the religious perspective, but more so from what the laws say, international law even, and also what the medical professionals are saying with regards to the impact and some of the challenges when it comes to SGBV, violence, even FGM, and all of that, mutilation. So we've learned a lot from the technical perspective, that is the medical perspective, and also from the, as journalists, editors, do's and don'ts, things that we should be doing, things that we shouldn't be doing, according to best practice, international best practice. So it's been very, very helpful, very useful. I think as an editor, it's helping me to be a better gatekeeper. When I see my journalist report, I'll be able to at least measure it to some of these standards, what I should do as an editor, what they should do as reporters as well. It's a pleasure.
All right, Ramutulai, thank you for agreeing to speak to us. You're one of the participants at this training. We just want to know what you make of the training, whether you found it useful and how it will help you in your work. Things you're learning here.
Thank you so very much. This training is very useful and timely because as a journalist and a female for that matter, this training will help me a lot because it is talking about gender-based violence and FGMC. And right now we all know FGMC, it's the topic of the day. Every day people are talking about it. And gender-based violence, as a woman, I think we are the most vulnerable. So this training will help me a lot in reporting issues because, as journalists also, we need to know the do's and don'ts of anything that we are reporting on. So this capacity building training will help me a lot to be writing more stories on women issues, especially on gender-based violence. So I think the training is very timely, and UNFPA is doing a great job in equipping journalists on such issues. So it's very good.
as a participant in this training, how do you see the training? Do you find it useful? And how is what you're learning here going to impact your work?
Well, thank you very much. I think such trainings is useful to us, the journalists, because we are the mouthpiece of individual or group or associations. What could say so? You cannot be telling people what you don't know. But if you attend such training and then they give you the brief of or the idea of what is it all about, especially when it comes to gender-based violence, I think it will help because it will help you to censor your things, your reports, to the way you narrate your stories, because we have seen recently in the social media, one could say many people will write anyhow they want, even sensitive stories. They will not know how to table it out. They will just come bam and then explore the social media. So having such training, it will be helpful in the future run. It will help you in your newsroom. Whenever you are writing such a sensitive story, you will know where to lay, and there are ups and downs, and where you should not, and the do's and undoings.